Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel. As promised, I'm finally here with my Batman edition of Stop Screwing with the Costume. This one was tricky to write. Unlike Wonder Woman, whose deviations from the iconic costume are glaring and highly problematic, Batman's look has been altered so much through the years that decidedly non-iconic looks have found their way into people's hearts, including my own. I love the Adam West campy costume, lines on the mask and all, and I love the all-black Tim Burton design that complemented Anton Furst's production design so well in 1989. So as I argue for the most iconic look in this video, I'm not saying, as I could in the Wonder Woman episode, that deviations from this standard are necessarily detrimental to the character. Batman has proved himself to be surprisingly elastic without losing his original form. For the most part. Some of those deviations I'll mention are harmful to his character and are part of the hardening, Punisher-like individual we've seen so much of wearing the cowl as of late. So let's begin with the generally agreed upon absolute necessities of the costume. Cape, cowl, bat fins, and utility belt. There's no Batman without the cape, cut like a bat's wings. Members of the Bat family have foregone the cape, even Batman Beyond, but the cape is essential for Batman to fulfill his Gothic archetype. In fact, it's the founding element of the character. Bob Kane, eager to cash in on the popularity of Superman, was inspired by one of Leonardo da Vinci's sketches of a set of mechanical wings for men. The webbing between the rods made them resemble bat wings, so Kane made a now fabled and recreated sketch of a character in a domino mask with wings and called him Batman. When he farmed out the writing and development of the character to Bill Finger, Batman began to resemble the hero we know today. As a novelist, Finger understood the importance of character motivations and methods. He gave Batman a profound backstory that would motivate him to seek vengeance on the world of crime. Batman achieves that vengeance through fear, like the Pulp Fiction heroes Finger used for inspiration. Characters like Black Bat, the Spider, and the Shadow ran throughout the popular pulp magazines of the day. They fought crime at night, instilling fear into criminals with an air of mystery. Visually, that mystery is indicated by a cape. Capes can act as cloaks, hiding a character's true form when they fall just right. They can change shape constantly from illustration to illustration, and in Batman's case, they can be cut to look like wings. Batman's cape is essentially tied to his character. The same is true for the cowl. The accents like the bat ears and the bat fins on his gloves give him the creature of the night persona and save him from being just another paramilitary vigilante. When those elements are downplayed, he loses his pulp-rooted mystique. The glove fins, reduced to squares, become no more than arm guards. The cowl, with barely noticeable ears, becomes a helmet, and as a result, we get more gadget-centric hand-to-hand combatant than a Gothic detective. There's one more important aspect of the cowl we should mention before moving on. It has to do with an old, outmoded pseudoscience called phrenology. Popular in the 1800s, phrenology stated that certain traits and abilities were located in different parts of the brain, and that the size and proportion of those parts of the brain reflected those traits and abilities in any individual. Foreheads, for example, housed the intellect, so large foreheads indicated a great intellect. More specific aspects came into play as well. For instance, a sharp forehead indicated sharp perception, able to quickly take in the fullness of a situation or scene. Phrenology, along with physiognomy, the same philosophy applied to facial features, has stuck in the public consciousness long after being scientifically disproven. Our heroes, for example, of good moral character, have square jaws, which is why Batman's jawline shouldn't be impeded by the silly chin guard that creeps up now and then, again making the cowl more of a helmet. As for villains, they have misshapen craniums to show a deformed mindset, and our detectives have a large and often sharp cranial accessory to show their intellect and perception, like Sherlock Holmes's hat or Batman's sharp-eared cowl. So far then, our most iconic and mythologically effective Batman costume includes a bat cape, long enough to shroud the Dark Knight at times, gloves with sharp bat fins, and a cowl with an open jaw and ears of a decent length, to maintain the character's base pulp Gothic archetype. We'll cover color scheme in a moment, but the other elements include boots, utility belt, bat symbol on the chest, and yes, I am going to argue for trunks in the most iconic suit design, but let's start at the beginning of this list. The boots should not be merely combat boots. Some tread is fine if that's the artist's prerogative, but they're part of a costume designed to inspire mystery and fear, not just practical asphalt grippers. To that end, the front shouldn't merely be a shin guard either. The top should culminate in an upward triangle to match the bat-like angles of the costume and to echo the inverse triangles cut out of the cape. The belt is the part of the costume that may appear more practical. It is called his utility belt for a reason, because it features his various tools and gadgets for solving crimes and combating the perpetrators. This gadgetry and specialized knowledge is part of what gave Batman more longevity than his pulp predecessors. It ultimately helped him bridge the 40s penchant for mysticism with the 50s science fiction and fascination with technology. According to color psychology, the color yellow imparts safety and caution, which is why it is used in safety vests, police tape, and so on. Batman's yellow utility belt, then, tells us that even though he's a vigilante, the vengeance of the night, he can be trusted with his abilities and power to use them for our protection and safety, as opposed to the mad scientists and supervillains who use technology to conquer and harm. But the belt isn't enough yellow. It speaks to the heroic use of his tools, but not his motivations, his heart. Which brings us to the bat symbol. From the 40s to today, many designs feature simply a black bat on the gray suit. And while that's not enough to break the character, for the most symbolically loaded and iconic look of Batman, I argue for a black bat on the yellow background. Shields and crests are important for superheroes, but especially for mainstream heavy hitters, like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They become the symbol of what the hero stands for. For Batman, his symbol lives not only on his chest, but in the sky with the bat signal. Criminals cower and Gotham citizens rest easy knowing that Gotham's Dark Knight Protector is on the way. When the Batsuit itself echoes that same symbol in the sky, with the black upon yellow, it's a powerful signifier to everyone Batman encounters, whatever side of the law they might represent. The additional yellow right above his heart also further labels Batman as a protector. Speaking of color psychology, what color should we argue for these other elements of the suit we've already mentioned? His cape and cowl have been black or blue, and variant shades in between. The body of his suit has been either gray or solid black. Let's start first with the latter, though. Gray is the perfect color for a detective. It's cool, methodical, and logical in the space between the false dichotomy of black and white. As such, it's the perfect color for Batman's suit. But he's not just some detective in a gray suit. He's a symbol of terror for criminals and safety for the innocent. So the topmost layer, the cowl and cape, cannot be gray. They must be darker, mysterious. Either the usual black or blue can achieve this effect. There are great and beloved examples of both, but again, for this most symbolically loaded and iconic design, I argue for a dark blue cape and cowl, often shaded with black shadow. The black shadows provide all the needed mystery, but the dark blue adds an aspect that the yellow beneath cannot carry alone. Blue makes us feel stability and integrity. True blue, as the saying goes. These are crucial parts of Batman's character. He's not just a mysterious vigilante who uses his tools and abilities to protect people from the city's corruption and villainy. He also has a moral code and deep principles he abides by. He does not kill. He won't use a gun. He takes in and mentors young people who have endured the same suffering he did as a child. Fans of a more Punisher-like Batman are usually quick to point out this or that story that tragically broke these rules once, but the iconic Batman lives in the greater public consciousness, not solely comic books. Simply finding that something occurred once in the comics is not sufficient argument that it should translate to film or qualify as a valid version of the character, for missteps occur in the comics often. And I think it's no coincidence that a page or a film that might feature Batman using a gun or choosing to kill will also present a Batman without any true principled blue in his costume, in the cape and cowl or the trunks. That's right, trunks. I know that trunks on the Batman costume aren't as pressing of an issue for many as they are for Superman, but I still believe they are necessary for the most iconically loaded Batman suit design. I touch on it a bit at the end of my old In Defense of Trunks video. The link to that video is in the top right-hand corner. I outlined there how the trunks are a cultural signifier of masculine strength, and even though Batman is nowhere near the physical force that Superman is, physical and athletic strength and ability are still major part of his heroic stats. I also talk about the issue of aesthetic and compositional balance in that video as it pertains to the Superman costume, but the same applies to Batman, perhaps even more so because of the cowl in addition to Batman's cape. Trunks of the same color as the cape help center the gravity of the character in the core, avoiding a top-heavy look and signifying stability and durability and strength in character. But even if none of those reasons came into play, the need for simple coverage would still move me to choose the trunks for the most iconic Batman design. Gray is a much lighter color than the blues of the trunkless Superman designs, and light colors require more shading, contouring, and detailing. But if one more artist shows me the Batcrack in their trunkless Batsuit designs, I'm going to scream. So quite a few artists have portrayed this most iconic Batman suit we're arguing for over the years. Neil Adams and Norm Brayfogle are my personal favorites. I'd love to read your favorites in the comments. But let me reiterate one more time before I wrap up this video. Batman is different from Superman or Wonder Woman, and that many of his Batsuits that miss the mark of the iconic standard are still beloved and well suited to the stories in which they are presented. For Batman's 66 Theater of the Absurd, Adam West's Batman suit was perfect. For the gothic and uncanny world of Tim Burton's films, Michael Keaton's head-to-toe black was perfect. And there are similar examples in the comics. But when diverging suit designs make Batman look too paramilitary, utilitarian, or even just practical, something precious in the character is lost. Superhero costumes matter. Superheroes are icons, part of a visual mythology. Their look is just as important as their stories, and Batman's unique, gothic pulp visuals are a crucial part of his character. That's all then for this episode of Stop Screwing with the Costume. As always, let me know which comic book superhero or villain you'd like to see examined in the next episode. Come back in the next few days as well for some comic book reviews, and until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the superhero stories you love. Thanks for watching.